On behalf of your host, Steve D, this is Bruce Buffer saying thank you for tuning in to Xtreme Lyfe. And now, this is the moment Xtreme Lyfe fans around the world have been waiting for. It's time!
And we are live. I am here today with Anastasia Bruce. She is a pro MMA fighter fighting out of New York, strawweight division. And you just correct me if I'm wrong on anything, because I have been wrong before. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. You go by the nickname Savage Beauty. And you're, basically a next level MMA athlete, right? So, tell me a little bit about yourself. What brought you to MMA? I mean, who is Anastasia Bruce?
Well,
that's a very big question, by the way.
Right. That's a big question. Well, I have so many talents. I do a lot during the day. I am a hairstylist. I do MMA. Okay. And how I got into MMA, that was like 5 years ago. I was at a park. I was playing basketball because when I got out of junior high school and high school, I wanted to play basketball. I actually wanted to be a basketball player. I wanted to be on an all-girls team. And some guy, I was sitting down outside, and some guy, he had came up to me. His name is Red, and he's a friend of mine, and he's a fighter as well.
Okay.
You know him, like Red Pottinger?
Uh-huh. Yeah. I know the name. Yeah.
And he came up to me. I was trying to do some pull-ups, and he came up to me, and he was like, keep going, because I had stopped probably like after 3. I just gave up.
Okay. You were defeated at that point.
Yeah, I was just over it.
Okay. All right.
And he had came up to me, and he gave me his card because he was looking for somebody to train. And we started emailing each other, talking about fitness, and he took me to one of his fights later, a couple of weeks later. Mm-hmm. And I seen him fight, and I'm like, it was a lot going on, walking in, seeing the cage and everybody in the audience. And I'm like, wow, this is how this go. Like, I don't know about
where did I end up? What happened?
Where did I end up? Like, this is crazy. Everybody is like excited or overexcited. I'm like, wow. Yeah. Okay. Later on that night, I'm like, well, this is interesting. This is awesome. Like, I want to do this. Like, I told him that, I'm like, I want to do that. And he's like, are you sure? Let's talk about this. I'm like,
I may change your mind, right?
Right. I may change your mind. I don't know.
Yeah. What was it about the whole, that experience that made you, because, I find that people do one of two things in those situations. They either say, oh my God, not me ever, never getting in that, going to do that. I'll watch it a little bit, but, I'm really not going to get into it. What made you, and the other type of person is the one that's like, I am going to get in a cage and I'm going to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, it's kind of like the run away or run towards something, right? What made you at that point, because it's not really a very, and most people would say, that's not a normal feeling to want to get into that cage and fight, right?
Right. That's like a different mindset. It's like,
it's a whole something people don't understand.
Yeah. Yes, it's totally different. Like, I like challenge. I like challenges. So I felt like that would be something that would make me feel confident. Because around the time I wasn't confident in myself all the way through. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So at that time you weren't really 100% confident. You were, maybe looking for something to help you build that confidence, right? Because you were in the park doing pull-ups. You were obviously trying to, accomplish something, right? And you get to that you get to this cage, you get to this event, and you're like, okay, you see, how many fights were? I mean, I don't know if you know exactly, but what was there a lot of fights that night? What was the card like? Was there like
there was a couple of there was only a couple of fights. The card was a little light. The fight that I seen, he had knocked him out. Red had knocked his opponent out, and that happened within seconds.
And you're like, go Red.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a crazy experience, that moment there.
Okay. So at that point you decided, hey, I want to get into this. I want to start fighting. So what happened next? Where did you go from there?
So he took me to his gym that he goes to. It's a karate school actually in Brooklyn near Junction and Flatbush. I started training with him and his coach, Louis Lashley. He owns the karate school, and he has helped me so much, and I thank him for that as well.
And what's your? I mean, do you train on the ground at all? Do you do some ground?
I do train on the ground. Yeah, I do groundwork.
Some jujitsu.
Yes, jujitsu. I train at Los Locos Muay Thai in Port Chester.
Okay.
With Nick and them, I've been doing a lot of groundwork with them right now, and I've gotten way better than I was 2 years ago.
Well, that's what it is. It's all about progress, right? It's all about progress, not perfection.
It's all about progress.
So you train hard, and you're trying to improve your ground game.
Yes, definitely trying to improve my ground game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the big things about fighting is, train your weaknesses. Know where you need to train. Know where you need to get better at. If you're a great, I know a ton of people who come up through the ground game doing jujitsu, but then they get their butt kicked in the stand up, right?
Right.
and then I know a ton of people that they try like hell not to get taken down because they don't have no damn ground games. So
right.
You gotta and you gotta train those. And one of those is like Conor McGregor. I don't think he has a ground game pretty much at all. So he, standing up, the guy is phenomenal. Yeah. Phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Like you're not going to find too many people who are going to take him out on a stand-up game in his weight class. However, what you're going to see though is if he gets taken down, it's over for the most part. I mean, and Khabib has proven that a couple times, and over again with different people that the superior ground game sometimes can win the whole fight for you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's hard to drag somebody around when they're laying on top of you. So what's your favorite like submission or strike? If you're in a fight, what would you say your favorite submission or strike would be?
My favorite strike would be right overhand, and the uppercut after, or right overhand and left straight. Let me see. Favorite submission would be an armbar. Okay. I like arm bars. I like head chokes. Yeah, those would be my two favorite.
So like a rear naked choke kind of thing.
Yeah, or rear naked
like
choke.
Guillotine or.
Right, guillotine. Mm-hmm. Yes, guillotine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So those are some of your favorite. If you had to classify yourself as a fighter, what would it be? What would you say that classifies you, or something that makes, that says, hey, this is Anastasia Bruce, this is her style. What would you say it is? Whether it's Muay Thai, boxing, anything.
I'll say my style is boxing.
Okay.
Boxing and kickboxing. I've been doing kickboxing and MMA for about like 7 years now.
That's a long time. It's a good time to have a great base in boxing.
Right.
And, so, and you like that overhand right, which is a boxing followed by that uppercut, right?
Yes.
Which is great.
Yes.
I'm always surprised because that right overhand often surprises the hell out of people because you don't see it come a lot of times because you're often thinking they're going to throw throw a jab or they're going to throw something else. And then you kind of come in and all of a sudden, boom, there's that overhand and it surprises the hell out of people. You see it in the face, clipped by it.
Right.
So are you sparring right now? Are you training for anything right now?
I am training.
Okay.
I am training. I hope to fight in April. I spoke to somebody about fighting Dina Dime in April. We'll see about that. But I've been training with all the guys and girls in Los Locos Muay Thai in Port Chester. So I'm working, definitely.
So you're training hard, and
sparring and grappling Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
All right. And you possibly have a fight coming. Maybe we'll see. I mean, it's kind of a weird time right now with the whole COVID thing, where
it is a weird time.
Things were going. It is a weird time. Things were going. In such a such a great momentum in MMA for a couple of years, and it looked like it was just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and then all of a sudden the world kind of stopped for a minute. And then a lot of bouts got canceled. Did you have any canceled fights? Were there any fights that were canceled due to that, or?
I've had a fight canceled, due to COVID. They've been saying that they're gonna like hit me up and see if it was like a lot of back and forth. Actually, it was just a lot of back and forth, and I'm like, this is not gonna happen because of COVID.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. So I just told them to hold it off and wait until things got better. I mean, we really can't do anything.
Yeah, and that's a lot of times the best move is just to wait. You don't want to,
right?
Especially because you're training for a fight, and then once you start getting into the serious, parts of your training specifically for that fight, the last thing you want is to do all that work and then end up right up to the day, and all of a sudden, a couple days before the fight, it gets canceled because of
exactly.
Whatever reason it is. I mean, I always feel bad for fighters when they do that because not only does that is it suck because you put in all that work, but it screws with your head.
Yes.
It screws with your head because now you're like, okay, I did all this work and now I'm not doing anything.
Right.
And and sometimes you take that into your next real, like when you end up in a fight, you take that head game with you.
Like what's next? Like
what's going to go wrong now, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of screws you up in your next fight or the fight after that. I know a fighter that got 3 fights canceled in succession, and was training for them.
Yeah.
During this whole thing. And, the good news is I think that it looks like we're starting with the vaccine and with things going on.
Yes, the vaccine.
It looks like we're starting to come out of it to some degree. I know movie theaters are open again. I mean, it's kind of.
I realized that one day when I was outside. Actually.
Right? Yeah. You look over and you're like, hey, there's people at the movies. How the hell did this happen? Same thing with restaurants. I mean, they at one point it was like, there was like 5 people in a restaurant. Now they're packed again. So I'm like, I don't know. Even in New Jersey, I don't know if New York's. I know you're in New York, so I don't know if that's pretty much the same. But people seem to be kind of like getting to a point where they're just like, look, we want to start living life again, and and I'm not even going to go into Florida. Florida just said, screw it completely. They barely locked down at all. They're like, you know what? Hell with it. We're just gonna we're gonna have a concert.
Yeah.
So you might have a fight coming in April, which will be awesome. Please, you got to let me know when that happens, because
most definitely.
I'd love to see it and like to see you in action. And so, what would be a dream fight for you? Is there anybody you kind of say, hey, I would love the opportunity to fight a specific person?
Dream fight. Okay.
Everybody has a dream fight, right?
Right. Yeah. I haven't really thought about that, but I am going to say, even though she's a heavyweight, I'm gonna say Clarissa Shields in boxing.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Clarissa Shields. Yeah. Well, even though she's going into MMA,
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard she's. I mean, and then a lot of people are. The message boards are blowing up about it. They're kind of like,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, online when you start reading some of these things, I have to get off because people just get cruel and stupid in some of these things because they, even some of the things they post on some of my stuff, I'm like, that's just, what?
Yeah.
Why? Why you got to be out there trolling and acting like a fool? I mean, I've seen a lot of boxers make a transition into MMA. I've seen a lot of wrestlers make transition into MMA. Everybody in MMA basically came from something, right?
Right.
So when you say, oh, this person's a boxer, they're going to get killed in MMA, that's not necessarily true.
That's not necessarily right. I don't.
They have the ability to fight. They have the ability to take a punch. You know that. And all they need to do is train the specific skill set for MMA, because it is a different skill set. You can't
Yeah.
just go right from boxing into MMA and
Right.
think it's all going to work out fine, because someone's going to take you
Hmm.
down and they're going to hurt you. But
Hmm.
if you're training for it, you're already an athlete, you're already a highly elite level athlete. It's not a far stretch to jump over. I mean, you just got to do the work. That's what it comes
Right.
down to.
Exactly.
And she will definitely do the work. So,
Yeah.
that's awesome though. And like I said, I think everybody has that fight, like that person. They're like, I love watching this person fight, but I really love
Yeah.
the opportunity to kick their ass.
Right. And I've been watching Angela Lee as well.
Okay.
She's a great fighter.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would love to get in a cage with her, throw a couple of
See
punches.
what happens.
It happens.
That's it. That's it. I mean, and the good thing is that the fights are starting to come back online. CFFC's operating again. They actually are doing I'm actually going to be at this event. I don't know if you know Pumi Nakuda, but he's fighting for the, I think, flyweight title on March 11th
I don't.
in Philadelphia. Yeah, so
Okay.
they're actually, what they did is kind of creative though, because you're still not allowed to have people at a fight, at least in this area. Whoa, there goes my.
Yeah.
You're still not allowed to have a fight, at least in this area, but you can eat dinner, right?
Yeah.
So what they did was they were very creative, and they said, okay, we're gonna sell tables for the fight, and you just have to order dinner.
Well then. Okay.
Well, they figured it out, right? They found a loophole. So as
Yeah.
long as they have people being compliant with masking and all that other stuff, and they order a dinner, that's the only requirement. So you could buy a ticket. It's actually pretty cool. You buy a ticket, a table for four for $300, and then you basically have four people there. And the only thing is you have to order dinner. And I'll tell you what, the dinner isn't much. I mean, it's basically an Ilio pizza or something that you go get.
Okay.
But like I said, I think it was a creative way to get people back in the places and support the fighters, because I think that's important. One of the things I kind of pride myself on, and I interview a lot of people, is I try to really support the up and coming fighters, even more so than I do when I get guys like Ken Shamrock or somebody like that on here. I love having them on, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But even more so, I like getting the up and coming fighters like yourself, people who are in the game and really trying to get out there and get after it.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. So I try to support that as much as I can.
Yeah.
So when would you, if you get this fight in April, when would you start? Would you go into camp? When would camp start for you?
Camp would start for me as soon as possible.
Okay. So you would jump right into camp and start working.
Probably like 2 weeks after I hear about the fight, talk to my coach,
Okay. Now, do you watch tape, stuff like that? I know a lot of fighters, they'll watch tape of their opponent.
Yeah, I do. Yes.
Yeah, and kind of see where their weaknesses are.
Right.
Look at, okay, this one doesn't like to go to the ground, so we're going to really work the ground stuff, and I'm going to try to take this person down, and that kind of stuff. And okay, so you work that way, and do you work? What's the hardest part of camp for you? When you get into camp, what's the hardest part, do you think, about being in camp or coming up to the fight? What is the most difficult time?
The most difficult time is the training part for me, and round after round after round, especially drilling jiu-jitsu, and because I have to get my ground game on point, and the weight cut as well.
Everybody says that. That's why I asked that question.
The weight cut as well. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. That's the most common answer to that question is, I hate the weight cut. I've actually only had one person tell me they like weight cut.
Well, it's easy for them then, because
yeah. Well, it's kind of like one of those things where I think it's just part of the ritual for this person.
Yeah.
And she basically said, I just, when it gets to that point, it's happening, and you're like, hey, it sucks, but it's part of it, and you just kind of have to embrace it. Which I think is a great way of looking at it, because it does suck when you have to drop, a tremendous amount of weight sometimes, depending on
days.
Yeah. Well, and do you do a water cut when you normally do it? You do the water cut with the jugs of
Yeah,
water?
I'll
Yeah.
do a water cut, or I'll probably not eat for a couple of days. It
Okay.
depends. It
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks doing that. I mean,
Yeah.
and the thing is, you don't want to, go more than 10% of your body weight ever. Is always,
Right.
that's kind of the rule of thumb, because then it gets really dangerous. But,
Right.
because you're cutting, sometimes 15 pounds, 20 pounds in
Right.
5 days, 5 to 7 days generally.
Yeah.
Um, so it's definitely not something that, is very kind to your body. And that's always kind of when you after you do a weight cut, and you go through weigh in, right? Because you weigh in the night before, so then you're kind of free to be you, right? After that, free to be you again. So then you kind of, what is that like? Do you just go crazy, or?
I do not just go crazy. I'll take my time. I'll drink some water or some juice or something
Yeah.
to and then I'll go out to eat or something like that. Eat a burger, some fries.
Okay. All right. You get something in your stomach, and
Yeah.
and try to put that nourishment back in, because
Yeah.
you don't want to fight. That's the thing that's the controversy about weight cuts, right? Weight cuts is very controversial, because you get to that point where there's a lot of people that actually believe you should weigh in right before you get in the cage. Like,
I've heard.
and I'm not sure I'm against that, but I'm not sure I'm for that either. I'm kind of in between somewhere. I think it would be it would make sure people fight in their weight class, in their natural weight class, that's for sure. Or
Yeah.
they'd be very emaciated during their fight. But have you ever had a time where you kind of felt yourself not able to bounce back after, like, you got the cage, you got through the weight class, or the weight cut, you went out and you still feel kind of lethargic the next day, and you're not right yet?
Yeah, I've had a feeling like that once. I had a fight in Connecticut, I think, and we had got there late for the weigh-in or something. Something happened, and we had to weigh in like the same day.
Ooh.
That was horrible for me. And I was on weight, and then something happened, and I'm like, no.
Oh, that sucks. And the people I really feel bad for sometimes are the ones that they fight so hard to get to that weight. They get there, and then they're like a couple pounds off when they. So now you got to go run, right?
Yeah,
You got some time to go get that stuff off.
you gotta go jump rope or something.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it happen, and it it's I feel bad, because then you're just really, you're stressed out now. You're not feeling good. You're trying really hard to make the weight.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, I've seen other people. I've seen, James Gonzalez. I don't know if you know James, but he beat Pat Sabatini for the title, CFFC lightweight. I think it was lightweight. Might be featherweight probably. But he took that fight on like 6 days notice, dropped 15 pounds, and came in and won. It's like, that's badass, right?
Yes, that is.
I think it was 16 pounds, actually. I think he cut 16 for that fight.
Oh, okay.
In like a 6-day notice, and then ends up winning, with the most horrendous arm bar I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if you saw that clip, but yeah, if you ever get a chance, YouTube that one. That was a pretty brutal snap. He got him in a triangle, and then Pat went up, and then you just saw the arm go back, and Pat never tapped, though. I'll tell you that. Pat's a tough son of a bitch. He never tapped, but that arm just.
Oh wow! It just snapped. It didn't tap. It just snapped.
He didn't tap. It snapped. Yeah, that's why that's why I tell people when I'm sparring or doing anything, and someone gets me in something like that, I tap. I'm just gonna tap. Right. I don't want nothing broken. Maybe I'm just a wussy, but I don't know. What can I say? So, where do you see yourself? Let's say 5 years from now, right? You're still fighting, right? Where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself, in the UFC? Do you see yourself? I mean, where do you visualize? I'm a big person on visualization. I like to visualize where I want to go, and I'm curious what other people visualize for themselves.
Maybe not. I see myself still fighting. Maybe not on UFC, but I do want to be in another division and fight in a lower weight class. So.
A lower weight class?
Yeah.
Okay. So your cuts are going to get worse.
Yeah. Because I'm already at flyweight, so straw weight, atom weight. The goal is atom weight for me.
Atom weight? That's a tough one to get to.
Yeah.
Because you're fighting at straw weight, so that would be what? You'd have to drop all the way down to 105?
Yeah.
What it is? 105? Yeah. I get sometimes I get confused. And some, between boxing too and MMA, it gets a little there's some differences in the weight classes. But so that'd be a tough one.
For the UFC. More than 5. I give it more than 5. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That'd be awesome. And I hope this is one thing I always tell people, when you get to the UFC and you're up there or you're in a, you got some titles and you're doing some work out there, you got that stuff. Please be sure to, when I call you for an interview, you accept my interview again, because part of this is a little self-serving too. I'm laying the groundwork for myself, right? Trying to, like I said, I build relationships. That's what I do. I build relationships with people, and try to, basically help support you guys, and then hope that you continue to support me along the way as well. And please, share the interview. It's just, is there anything else? Where can people find you? Is there anything else you want to promote?
I'm on Facebook at Anastasia Bruce, and my Instagram is Anastasia Bruce as well, with _Anastasia_Bruce_.
Okay. There's a lot of underscoring there. Yeah. All right. So what I'll do is I'll also post that with the interview as well. This way people can find you, start following you. I try to, like I said, I want to try to help you promote yourself, get out there, and I want to see you fight. So please let me know when you're going to be fighting again. If that fight happens in April, definitely want to know about it. Is there anything else? Any parting words? Anything else you want to say before we end the interview?
Thank you for having me, and you definitely will see me soon again in a couple.
Absolutely. I'm counting on it. I am counting on it. I follow your Instagram and I follow your Facebook. So, I know you're busy. I know you're out there, you're doing stuff and you're working hard. So
I'm working hard. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. I appreciate it. This was a great interview. I was happy to have you on, and I hope you had a good time. And, just make sure you share this, check us out at xtremelife.com, Xtreme Life Podcast, Xtreme Life Media. I could go on and on and on. Got a new podcast coming out too called Mindset, which is, it's called Motivational Mindset, which is basically all about motivation. So that one's going to be coming out soon too. So please check that out. Anyway, thank you for your time, and good luck, and have an awesome training session tomorrow. I guess you're training, right? And hope you get that fight. See you out there.
Thank you.
All right.
Later.